Greetings guys and gals, this is XIJABERWALKIX bringing you the best in esports. Today we have set 7, which I guess you could call the ace match, but it's not really an ace because neither player are putting up their quote-unquote ace player, although this might as well be. It is set 7 of SKT1 versus KT Rolster, Bisu versus Flash on Icarus. I'm so excited, even more excited than I was about Flash versus Fantasy, and if you haven't seen that game, then obviously this is a spoiler. Something maybe taking a piece of candy from underneath his mouse, but looks like he was just blowing on it, maybe blowing on his hands or something. Bisu going to be sparring as the 1130 position blue Protoss, and at the 230 position we have Flash in teal. And honestly, this is probably gonna be one of my favorite casts of this year. I haven't done that many, probably like 5 casts this year. The year of 2011. However, I mean, how much better can you get? Bisu and Flash. Flash and Fantasy was pretty good. Bisu Jaedong would be pretty good. Jaedong Flash is always a good time. But Bisu against Flash is going to be very, very fun as well. I'm assuming for Flash to go 1-Rax into CC. I'm assuming Bisu to put on some early pressure. And I'm hoping that Bisu is going to win this. Although Flash is playing very, very well. Played pretty well versus Fantasy, actually. Did very, very well with his micro in that game on Benzene. Gateway going down for Bisu. Looks like Fantasy. Looks like Flash has opted to go for his barracks. I thought he was not going to go for his barracks, but he's just putting it at a little bit of a forward position by that ramp. And I can only assume that after that there's going to be a command center, a simulator going down for Bisu as well, sending out his probe scout. Looks like we'll wait and see if it goes in the right direction. If it does, it's going to be very, very good for him if he scouts clockwise. It looks like he is going to scout clockwise. So going to pick up Flash first. Flash is definitely going to note of this and probably know that Bisu is at that 1130 position. On this map, I mean, we could see carriers, I guess, if it goes that far, if it goes into the mid/late game, more the late game. But honestly, I don't think so, because Bisu really doesn't go carriers that often. He definitely, in my opinion, likes to opt for more arbiter play, and I think that's a better decision. Gas steal, so mech is out of the question now. Mech is absolutely out of the question, although I don't think it really matters that much. Putting down that supply depot actually before the command center, which is kind of funky. You usually see that racked right into that command center, so maybe he was going to go for some type of mech play possibly. Maybe he just wants to get his econ going. He is going for that command center at his natural. Zealot now out for Bisu as well. He's going to try to put some early pressure on, probably with this probe. There are only 2 Marines at the front. He let the assimilator finish, so those Marines or something's going to have to kill off that assimilator. He's really not going to need it for quite some time, just because he did go into this 1-Rax into CC build. All the coaches standing out there are so intent on this game, because remember, the first game of the Pro League went to the ace match, except it was Best versus Flash, and it was KT versus SKT1, and SKT1 actually won, and now they are ranked first in the Pro League, and KT is struggling a little bit. So KT definitely wants to get their revenge on, and that's very, very common for players to do that, for them to take their refinery at their natural just to get that gas off. And when the protest player does do a gas steal, very smart move by Flash there. That Dragoon chasing out that SCV from the base. Cybernetics core is spinning, so going for that Dragoon range. And the Zealot might be able to get in the base here. Oh man, I don't know where the Zealot went. The Zealot's going towards that southern position for some reason. Maybe he's trying to scout out for any type of proxy. Don't really know what he's doing down there, though, to be completely honest. That base is up for Flash, so now Flash is at 2 bases. Bisu is only at 1, and Bisu is also going to have to push in here, or expand very quickly himself if he doesn't want to fall behind. Factory going up for Flash as well. Now those 2 Marines are going up to try to kill off that assimilator, but now a little bit of damage is being done on that bunker. SCV is being pulled to repair. Dragoon range is not yet finished, so they can't really engage here. Able to pick off 1 SCV, might be able to pick off 2. Those SCVs following around that Zealot, taking critical mining time off for Flash, trying to get up in the main here. Those Dragoons just hold position or something. They're not attacking. Unfortunately, Dragoon range is not upgraded. He's going to lose that Zealot. Able to pick off one Marine and one SCV, though. Very nice job. This bunker is in kind of a jeopardy of dying, having to pull off 4 SCVs to deal with this. 2 Marines are still on that assimilator. Looks like the expansion going down for Bisu as well, so he's going to be just fine in terms of economy. Slightly behind, but this is pretty standard in PvT play. SCV now in the base for Flash, going to know exactly what's going on. Little miss micro. I think it would have been better if he would have kept that Dragoon at the front, but just spawning a little tiny bit too late. Just able to pick it off as that Dragoon range finishes, so the Dragoons are going to be able to attack that bunker with their free will. Looks like the machine shot is going up as well. Now immediately putting a refinery on that. Robotic support going up at the 7th position. Don't know if SCV scouted that, so he probably doesn't know that Reavers are coming first, although he could have the inclination, and I'm expecting him to respond with some missile turrets and engineering bureaus and missile turrets, or at the very least some vultures with mines. That tank is at the high ground, going to be able to attack those Dragoons for the time being, but using a lot of minerals to having to repair this bunker. Doing a very nice job there of putting on some early pressure. Possibly could have got a tank snipe there, but Bisu doesn't want to risk something like that. The Nexus is up at the natural for Bisu as well, and I'm assuming that Reavers are going to come out very, very soon. We have a academy going up, so he can get up his Comsat station, and a good block there, very, very good pylon block. So he's thinking of taking a very early second base, which would make it his 3rd base technically, but a second extra base. Shuttle now out, and Reaver's probably going to be out anytime soon. So both players in a very, very good position, and no one is very pressured a whole ton, although Bisu for the time being is going to be relatively weak, so he needs to pull off this harass fairly well. He does probably scout that robotics facility. He has tanks in the proper position to deal with any type of Reaver. Hopefully he's loaded up a Zealot in there as well, so we can drop the Zealot off first and have the tanks attack the Zealot before they attack the Reaver. Here comes a shuttle. Gonna be behind the mineral line. Unfortunately, I don't think that this is gonna work at all. Oh! And man, that Scarab getting right through the mineral line. Didn't know that that could actually happen. I didn't expect there to be such a gap there. Able to pick off 2 or 3 SCVs. Really nice job. Starport going up for Flash as well, and Bisu's gonna see this. Might even be able to pick off another SCV. Is going. Ooh, that Scarab is gonna dud. Almost positively gonna dud, unfortunately. But wow, I was really not expecting there to be that hole there. Usually you see the Scarabs try to go all around the mineral lines. Good building placement by Flash. It makes it so there's really, Bisu's have a really tough time doing any type of harassment. Probably could have got something done behind the natural mineral line. His 3rd base is now up, so Bisu now up 1 base on the Terran player. Flash, his Forge is spinning probably for +1 attack, or he could possibly be going for shields. But honestly, I think that he's going to go for that +1 attack to be just frank there. Dragoon and Reaver now out, almost able to get a Scarab off. Well, actually, I think he was able to get a Scarab off, but it didn't dud in the right place, or it didn't hit off in the right place, and so that SCV was able to live. Scarabs always kill SCVs in one shot, but sometimes funky stuff happens with Scarabs, and they get caught up or they dud, and they only do a certain amount of damage, which is kind of weird there. 3 tanks now at the main for Flash, so he's going to be able to deal with any type of harassment for the time being. He also has a Wraith House to follow that shuttle. Observers at the front, so it sees pretty much everything that's going on. He has all of his tech at that bottom left base, going for Templar Archives as well, so I'm assuming a transition into Arbiters is pretty much evident. Only 4 warp gates out, 2 Stargates going up. Dual Stargates going up, surprisingly actually, which is kind of weird, it looks like. So usually you don't get dual Stargates if you're going to go for Arbiters. Usually you go dual Stargate if you're going to go for Carriers, although I thought I saw the Templar Archives, which would make it a lot easier for you to go something like Arbiters if you're already on that tech path. But you never know, this map is pretty good for carriers, so we might be opting to go for carriers instead. At 3 base carriers is pretty risky though. I mean, you have pretty much enough minerals, you just don't have enough gas. So he might try to take an extra base before he goes for these carriers. Might go for arbiters at the beginning and then switch tech into carriers, except I don't like that play either. You really need to choose arbiters or carriers. You can't really transition from arbiters into carriers. It's not really as effective because you want to get stasis if you're going to go for arbiters. Putting up another base, so he is getting a 4th base, so I'm assuming now I'm going to make a guess and say that he's going to go for carriers, which would contradict everything I said earlier about Bisu not liking to go carriers. He's going very, very Dragoon heavy, not many Zealots in the mix. Don't even know if he has Zealot legs yet. That Forge is still spinning, so probably getting his +1 armor, +1 weapons now for Flash, but actually Bisu has no upgrades at the moment, so that Forge is going to be done pretty soon then. I guess we caught it when it was first starting, and Bisu's forces are absolutely screwed. Here he comes moving in to the main. There aren't that many forces, only 4 vultures and 2 siege tanks. He's going to be able to hold this off probably for at least the time being. Trying to move in here. He's going to lose, I think he lost that Reaver unfortunately, but able to push in at the front, still pushing in. Flash is going to have to back up. He doesn't have really anything at his front. All of his forces are at the bottom right. Flash is in a little bit of trouble. He's going to have to reinforce very, very quickly. At the same time, he's going to be able to pick off some of these SCVs going down to the bottom right. I think that he's picked up the base there, but are going to be able to pick off some vultures and some other things nonetheless. Oh, mine doing a ton of damage, only left with 1 Dragoon. Unfortunately, here he comes streaming in more units, but wow, just doing a lot of damage to the mines, and you guys know how much I hate players that don't take care of their Dragoons around mines. He has got about 7 gates out now. He is building some sort of unit. I didn't see an Arbiter Tribunal, although I don't think I saw a fleet beacon either, so don't know exactly what he's going for here. Going in with some Zealots, I just don't think he has enough forces. There's not enough Dragoons to reinforce. It's going to be able to pick off some of these tanks, but unfortunately there's just not enough units able to pick them up with the shuttle. Very, very good micro by Bisu. Bisu coming in with more Dragoons as well, but Flash is going to be able to maintain this base. Bisu is going to be at 1 extra base, so a little bit economically ahead, but like I always say, the Terran player can be at 1 less base than the Protest player usually and be more than okay. Here he comes in the back of the base here, trying to do a little Zealot drop. Going to be able to pick off 1 SCV at the very least. Might even be able to pick off 2. The shuttle is continuing on to the main and might be setting off a Zealot there. If he had a Reaver, that would be absolutely epic, because Flash isn't even pulling his SCVs at this point. I think he knows that there's not a Reaver in there, but if there was, that would be absolutely epic. This 4th base is now more than up and running. Doesn't have the assimilator at that base though. And yeah, so there's no Arbiter Tribunal. And I guess he could have canceled that Stargate, or maybe only 1 was going up in the original place, in the first place. That's what I was in the original place. In the first place, yeah, maybe only 1 was going up, and I guess there was an Arbiter Tribunal. I don't know where that Arbiter Tribunal would have been, because it definitely wasn't at the bottom left. He did have the Templar Archives up, so that's why I was really curious about that double Stargate going up, but maybe there wasn't a double Stargate even to begin with, and I was just seeing things. Anyway, Arbiter's now in the area. Good siege line by Flash. He does have a pretty decent arc there, along with those missile turrets. That's going to be very good at deterring this attack, but it looks like Bisu doesn't care. He's going to go in anyways. He has a pretty big force of Dragoons. He needs to get those Zealots in there. Probably should have brought the shuttle as well to do some Zealot bombs. The Zealots are charging ahead, and there's just a lot of Dragoons. It might be just too many Dragoons for Flash to handle. It looks like Bisu's going to have to pull back, though. He just doesn't have the critical force, and that's why I was saying he needs the shuttle to do some Zealot bombs. He needs the shuttle so badly to do those Zealot drops. A Reaver wouldn't hurt as well, or a Stasis. He did do a Stasis on the bottom tanks, but really just not doing enough damage there, unfortunately. And the Observer might get picked off, just barely surviving out of harm's reach. Another scan going down just to see exactly what he has under that Arbiter's cloak. But Bisu's pretty much been at 4 bases unharassed. That shuttle is still just sitting behind that line, having to pull 2 vultures just to make sure nothing bad goes on. It looks like he's at +3 weapons actually, and +1 armor. So Flash way ahead in terms of upgrades, and that's why I think he came out ahead in that battle. It's just because Bisu's only at +1 weapons. He doesn't have any armor upgrades, doesn't have any shield upgrades, doesn't have any upgrades in general. It's just really uncommon for Protoss players to go for shield against Terran, because if the Terran player sees that, then they can go for science vessels with EMP, and in Starcraft Broodwar, EMP just takes down your entire shield, so you'd be absolutely screwed. Bisu trying to take a base at the top left. This is getting harassed by a vulture, and Bisu's really not going to be able to break this siege line anytime soon. He just doesn't have enough forces. The siege line is just too strong, and it looks like more vultures or something going down to the bottom left, possibly to scout out for a base, to see if a base is there. He just scanned, knows that it's not there. Stop those vultures. Now they're going to go up to the north and try to harass this base yet again. I believe they're going to go to the 9 o'clock base and try to get in there, try to do some harassment. Here come the vultures. Going to be able to pick off these two zealots fairly easily, and going to do a little bit of harassment. But there are cannons there. I think Bisu realized this and built some cannons beforehand. He's also building another cannon, I believe, at that northern position. But geez, vultures doing a ton of damage. Probes going down left and right. Bisu, man, Bisu trying to put his probes, huddle them in the bottom corner. But unfortunately, he just lost a lot of probes. That was like at least 6 or 7 probes that he lost, unfortunately. Flash just maintaining the siege line, and all Bisu's gonna have to do, if Bisu just expands like crazy, he's gonna be able to do a lot. The science vessel does scout this arbiter, because he's a little bit worried about a recall happening, so he's just got to make sure he has that science vessel in the area so he sees any type of units that are under the arbiter. Here comes the arbiter yet again. This science vessel is being very, very annoying. Scan going down. And I think that Bisu's trying to go for a drop, but unfortunately he's not going to be able to. He has a bunch of forces just rallied up in the middle, which is going to be very good. He just doesn't want to get EMP'd by that science vessel. Oh man, here comes the science vessel, really kind of committing to this attack. Might be able to get an EMP off. Here come the dragoons and the zealots. He does see that observer. The observer sees the science vessel. The science vessel backs off. Almost able to get a good EMP off, and that would be just so critical, because arbiters really need that energy. They need that energy for stasis and for recalls, and it's just really not useful at all. Just because the Terran player has so many comp sets, it's really kind of not useful at all for you to have an arbiter with no shield, even though it does cloak. All the units sieging up, and Bisu's like, screw that, I'm out of here, man. He does not want to engage those siege tanks while they're sieged up in that small amount of area. He just doesn't have the force. He has the economy to do so, but Flash is just macroing like a madman. Here comes the engagement. Zealots coming in as well. Siege tanks sieging up. Defense matrix going off on one of those tanks. Unfortunately, Bisu's going to have to back up now. Those zealots dying to that attack. Might be able to pick off that tank. Is able to pick off that defense matrix tank. Now we have Goliath in the mix as well. A little less vulture heavy, more siege tank and Goliath heavy. And honestly, I think that Flash might be a little bit ahead, even though he's only at 3 bases, and Bisu is going to be at 5 bases in the near future. Although he's not really mining, he hasn't been really mining. He's almost mined out at his natural, mined out his main, so he's at 1 base. Actually, Flash needs to make this push work, because if he's not, Bisu's just economy is going to boom, and it's going to be out of control. If Bisu's able to hold this off, he's going to be able to do so much damage. Stasis, no stasis, able to EMP the arbiter. The arbiter goes down. There's 2 more arbiters left, but unfortunately that stasis didn't go off. Bisu's going to have to back up now, and if this attack works, then Flash doesn't need any more bases. Then Flash isn't going to need the economy. Here comes another arbiter. Might be going for a recall. This could be absolutely epic if he goes for recall. Small recall going in at the base. I think he was a little bit afraid that the arbiter would get picked off. This is going to be dealt with fairly easily, but Flash moving in, this timing push is just hurting Bisu so bad. I think Bisu's going to have to GG, and KT's going to win this, showing that Best apparently is better than Bisu when facing Flash. Good stasis go off, but at this point I don't think it's going to matter that much. Bisu just can't macro enough units. He has the economy. He definitely has the economic advantage. Like times 200, he's trying to macro up forces. He's just not able to. Ooh, DT's in the mix. Isn't really going to matter that much. The only way that this is going to work is if Flash somehow doesn't notice that his tanks are getting DT'd. Good stasis there. Looks like Flash or Bisu might be able to push out, actually. If he's able to kill off these units, there's really nothing for Flash in the background. He's trying to reinforce with more vultures, I believe. That could be tanks, but I highly doubt he has two siege tanks attacking that base at the top left. Another stasis going on. The KT coach looking very, very worried, and so is the SKT1 coach, because this game is just so close. This game is very, very close. Now he's making pretty much all zealots. The KT guys know that Flash is in a very, very good position attacking the infrastructure of Bisu, and I just think that Bisu is going to be able... I mean, Flash is just going to be able to take this game, even though Bisu is ahead so much economically. He doesn't really have good saturation at any of his bases. Plus, the DTs have been scouted. Plus, Flash is just at his front door, attacking all of his units, and this is just really bad for him. Flash isn't even thinking about expanding. He's just content with those 3 bases, which is pretty much one mining base. And all these forces for Bisu aren't able to get out. They're just dying right as they're made. Here comes the DTs. They're not going to be able to do nearly anything. Those DTs are just so fragile. The Science Vessel is in the mix, and just infrastructure for Bisu is just dying and dying and dying. And oh my gosh, he needs a stasis. He needs energy on those arbiters, but unfortunately he has none. One stasis going off. That could be the game breaker, but there's just not enough units. Defense matrix going off on the tank. And unfortunately, Bisu is just getting whittled down slowly, slow death. Not quite as slow as TVT, but slow nonetheless. And Flash possibly not even taking another base. He's really just content on this attack. And if Bisu was able to hold this attack back, he would be able to stomp right all over Flash. But unfortunately, he's not able to hold it off. The thing is, it doesn't matter how much economy you have, how many bases you have, if you're not able to live until you can really make use of that economy, it doesn't matter at all. And this is pretty much the last force for Bisu. Coming in with DTs, those DTs are just way too fragile. I don't even think he has Storm +1 armor and +1 shields for Bisu. So he's at 1-1-1, but here goes the top left bases, and he's going to be only at 1 mining base. He knows that he's lost, I'm assuming, a GG anytime soon, and I'm really disappointed. Really, really, really disappointed. It's okay, though. Bisu will get other chances, and what he can say to Flash is, I'm still in the MSL. Flash is like, heck yeah, man. So, KT over SKT1 in the first match of the Winners League, and Bisu visibly upset. And I'm visibly upset as well. but it's okay. Flash playing very, very well. He deserves it. Was able to push out, took a chance, and it was definitely worth it. High-fiving all the fans and everyone. He deserves a win. You can see that he's visibly happy out of both Star Leagues, so it's good that he's still in tip-top game. Anyways, if you like what you saw... Oh, wow. Bisu really upset. If you like what you saw, please subscribe, give me a like, and comment below if I missed anything or if you have any suggestions. And I'm out of here. Lates.